quite an interesting team in that the success has come about for me from a really strong core. So you've had Achieved, who has been just relentlessly grinding away and picking up important kills, never really necessarily the centre of attention, but exactly when his team needs them. You've got Bolo, who's been bringing the panache, the flashy plays. He's been hitting the 3Ks, the 4Ks. He's been difficult to nail down. And then you've got Merc, that's just been absolutely solid in terms of game sense and entry. He's just been so difficult for teams to shut down, always making the right decision. And because each three of them, it's been like this trifecta of a core where they're all bringing something different, and it's worked really, really well for TSM. But you'd better believe that they are going to need all three of them on top form today against the FaZe side, which for me, I agree with what the analysts have said, one of the best team playing teams that we've seen so far at the Invitational.
Let's quickly rifle through those bans as well here, Tim. We've had a couple come through that are quite interesting. More on the attacking side than the defensive one. Looking at that Nomad banned by TSM, something that FaZe have ran in about 70% of their rounds on this map, so that makes complete and utter sense. The one that many look at and might scratch their heads is going to be that Habana. We're used to seeing things like the Thermite, the Ace to open up the mezzanine wall. That's clearly not going to be a thing here, but in every single round that TSM have played on Attack Chalet at this competition, they have brought Habana. They are not an ace team. They're not really, sorry, they are an ace team. They play ace alongside the Habana on this map. There's no Thermite, for example. So personally, a really good target ban, and the opposing pick that's been made on the other side is going to be the Maverick. You don't see TSM play this, so again, small differences already being shown between the two teams.
We are going to get into it then, Des. Are you ready? That's the only question.
If I had to quote you, I was born ready, Tim.
There we go. That's the sort of energy that we need. Everybody at home, I'm sure, is more than ready as well. And we get this lower bracket final underway. Reminder of the stakes. The loser goes home. The winner goes to this afternoon's grand final where Team Empire await. They almost don't come any bigger than this, Des. We've got one more game to go today, but this is huge for both of these teams. TSM versus FaZe, round one, and it's going to be a kitchen defense to start us off.
Honestly, looking at both of the series today, whether it's FaZe versus Empire or TSM versus Empire, I was like, man, we need that. And I think these two teams having to face off to see which of those two series we get, you could not write a better storyline. FaZe blasting their way through. We've already seen them do this throughout the competition a couple of times, Tim, where that kind of fast opening, we've seen a couple of other LATAM teams do it as well, can sometimes catch teams completely off guard.
That's it. Just avoid you getting challenged on that double window whilst you're trying to take out the door there, the castle barricade that goes through in towards Piano, just using a multitude of utility to get that cleared out very quickly, and it just makes Merc's spot that little bit more dangerous when he's trying to play in and around that area. For the time being, FaZe, they're going to be looking for the top floor clearance here. Geo, Merc, they're going to be the particular sticking points inside of Piano. FaZe wanting to get the vertical angles, wanting to use that hatch to try and pressure the site underneath. Not got themselves established inside of the building yet, but it looks like a little bit of discomfort on the side of TSM, and Bullet has now found his way in towards challenging that dining room door.
Yes, they've all started out on the south side here as well, Tim, so they want to get control on the below, open up the office wall to give them the sight lines into the upstairs, and just stop TSM getting a little bit cheeky from above. Outside of that, it's all about the dining wall on the downstairs to give you an angle. The Route 101, straight into sight behind the bomb chassis and looking for a plant. They have got two smokes to play behind as well, so they can opt to plant inside that or use it to smoke off the single door that goes into West Main or looking in towards Kitchen. So options exist for the side of FaZe, and for TSM, it's about running that clock down. They've already got 2 or 3 members that have been involved in gunfights here. They've got 3 smoke canisters to sit behind. No C4s, mind you, so everything is going to hinge on Achieved not going down early on this smoke.
Droning just going on there to locate some of the members of the defense. Finding them on the West Main stairs. In goes a nade. We're going to find a kill. It's going to actually be Bolo who manages to find cameraman first, though. And the nade just trades that out. Geo gets Astro, and it's all falling apart for FaZe as the rush coming in towards site is not going to work. TSM are ready for it, Des. They're going to cut them down one at a time, and we're going to find ourselves in a 1 versus 4. It's all up to Cyber. He's taking damage. They know where he is. They shut him down. And TSM, they're get round number 1.
Yeah, Bolo there taking a bit of a risk. If he'd been watched from mezzanine, he could have found himself going down, but I think he wins that 1 versus 1, charges the library stairs and gets the side angle onto FaZe, who have got all eyes towards the site. Really good shutdown and using that mobility, playing a bit of a risky game, you might argue, to get that first round away from FaZe on a site that we don't often see. Thinking about what we've seen mostly on this map, Tim, that has been the site that I'd argue is played probably second least. We see bar and gaming as the primary. More and more teams are playing into Snowmobile and Garage on the downstairs. Mass and Office then tends to creep in, and then you get the kitchen and dining. So starting with the offsite here, they've now still got 2 strong sites they can rotate through, bar gaming and the basement.
You can just see TSM very happy with the first round there. There's going to be a lot more needed from them as we go on, and bar is going to be the second site. We're going to be heading, staying on the same floor, but heading across to the opposite side of the map. So what are we going to see out of FaZe? I would expect to see FaZe coming in and looking for a little bit more top floor control this time, Des. They tried to push directly to site last time, kind of hurt them. They got hit from the stairs, they got hit from multiple angles, made their life a little bit of a nightmare, and I think FaZe will have learnt from that, and they're going to try and probably get themselves inside of the solarium side of the map, sweep across through Master and Office, and then come and try and dislodge the player on mezzanine. Now, previously, the player on mezzanine, with Simbolo playing there quite a lot, but he's on the smoke. I'm not sure we're going to see him in that position. He may well be on blue stairs instead. Although, he's there.
He will be there. Did you see Canadian's video by any chance on Twitter the other day?
I did, yeah. But you
those of you who haven't,
moving from behind his
essentially, it was a number of clips of Bolo being behind the shield in this position, across NAL, across SI, and just Canadian on stream being like, you cannot kill this guy behind the shield. It pops up and like kills 3 of you, and it's unbelievable to stop him. It's a full-on 30 to 45 second rant. Fully recommend you go to Troy's Twitter and take a look at that. But Bolo is a menace behind these shields. So let's keep an eye on it. Normally teams will try and bring along things like a Capital, at least from what we saw in the NAL, or nade him out from below, if you can get below, that is, of course, given it is the site, or you look to go from that office window. You have options to play with to try and shut him down, but he dances around explosives so well, and it's so hard to pin him down. Bullet taking out 2 of those nades with him in his back pocket as well, because Merc has found a very cheeky early little peek.
It's a big start for TSM in round 2 here, and FaZe just looking a little bit slow to wake up today, and they're going to need to make sure that they're a bit quicker if they want to start getting kills. Gio's going to keep himself in the corner. We've seen this setup quite often from TSM. Sometimes you'll just have the player blue stairs and mezzanine. TSM, they go for the full works, the full package. They get the man inside a library as well, and when you create that sort of triangle, it makes it very difficult to move any of them. You can't breach the wall because everything gets shot off. You can't get into library because of Bolo. Merc's there to protect from Office. It's just an absolute nightmare to break down. You've got to find a way to get that first kill. Once you can get a corner gone, it gets a little bit easier to take individual pieces. Gone. And that is a big piece to take out of that defense. Souls is going to find Bolo with a nade. No am I on side, Des. Maybe just allowing for a little bit more flexibility to get those throwables in towards him.
Yeah, Gio's lucky to be alive. He dropped back down through the hatch. Yes, Bolo has gone. They've removed 2 of that kind of 3-point triangle, which means Merc has got to fall ever so slightly deeper here, as you can see, down towards the basement. Achieved is doing what TSM always do on this defense, by the way, is holding up towards dining side and then starts moving his way down as the round progresses. The problem is his team are getting hammered on site here. Charlie's down to half. Achieve steps up and gets a big 2K. I spoke about that flag, making it 3. Absolutely nuclear from the north side and leaves Souls. Yes, he's got a bit of a clutch got on him, but the Grim Reaper of TSM stand inside of the site. Achieved, Charla, 25 and 50 HP respectively, so a couple of bullets from Souls, and this round can be done and dusted with. He's got about 40 seconds to play with as well, Tim, so I would argue, not in a massive rush. He can take a few extra seconds here to get himself in an ideal position, but Achieved is waiting a huge 4K in the rounds.
If you remember at the beginning of this game, Des, I picked out a few of the TSM players and I said Achieved, his greatest strength throughout this Invitational has been finding kills and big moments, important kills, exactly when his team needs them, and that was a great example. You're going to continue seeing it. I'm quite happy to just put it out there. I'll say, I guarantee you're going to continue seeing that from Achieve today. If there is a moment in your mind where you think TSM really need a kill here, and a 2 or 3K comes in, it'll be Achieved every single time.
The thing is, normally he'll be playing, like I said, in Dining and Kitchen, West Main. He'll work his way down through to kind of 90 the whole way, and that's where he'll go for his challenge in towards lobby. But here the small difference was he was up on the second floor. So maybe if FaZe have looked back at this game and gone, okay, we know what he likes to do. We know where he positions himself. That's all well and good. It's going to kill you if it comes down to him coming from a different direction. So drones could be set up. If they're not watching the top floor, he's going to get a stinging flank like that and end the round very quickly, because up till that point, FaZe were in command. They'd got themselves 2 good kills. They'd forced Geo back to site. Everyone else was penned in the downstairs, which meant FaZe had plenty of room to work with. That flank was fantastic, and we've seen a couple of big flanks out of TSM over the last week, to be fair. Tim, think about that Vigil 3K from Merc on Bank.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, that was just beautiful, wasn't it?
Best flank you'll see all year.
Yeah, absolutely was. I think you're right there, Des. We're only 2 months in, but I can't see that being bettered in the calendar year at least, and I would say it probably already goes down as the best in the competitive year that is coming to a close here at the 6 Invitational. But I think, for me, FaZe Clan just struggling to get control of the map here. They're getting in, they're taking some rooms, they sort of get in the top floor, but they're not controlling it, and that's the big thing. It's all right getting boots on the ground, it's all right finding your beachhead, but you've got to lock it down. You can't let Achieve come and smash you on the flank for a 3K, because look what happens, it's going to be 2-0. Simple as that. FaZe need to start doing better with that. There's options for them. I don't believe they'd be necessarily playing the Nomad anyway, were she available. I'm not saying that's, they've done without that and they're getting hit on the flanks. It's not the case. There's ways and means of doing this without that operator, and they need to start doing it. It's the simples, it's the flank drones, it's holding the flanks, it's making sure somebody's there to react.
You can't ignore it because, again, 70% of rounds, they rely on the Nomad to protect against that sort of thing. The player that plays Nomad is very aware he's not playing Nomad and instead has got to do something different. The rest of the team might be still thinking, okay, well, he's got the flank covered off. So just these small changes. Again, you can see how the bans can come in huge at the right time when they are targeted, and both teams have got those attacker-sided target bans, so we'll see how things progress. But a 2-0 for the defenders to start a map off Chalet off, Tim. That feels unusual because this has been one of the most attacker-leaning maps that we have seen for the longest time. Ever since its rework and launched back into competitive, it has been very attacker-leaning. I believe at this competition it's a bit more balanced.
He's missed him.
Missed the head. Achieve's going to farm from above anyway. That's fortunate cover. Merc's just like, thank you, Angel Achieved.
Can I just say, TSM really needed a kill there, Des, because otherwise they're going to lose that entry. And look who pops up, Achieved. But Souls, the #1 support so far, as we've been calling him. He gets in, he's getting the diffuser down, Des. FaZe have been doing work. It doesn't matter that Cameraman got lost in trophy, because they've got trench wall open, they've got inside a sight, and they've got the diffuser down, stunning TSM, who now have to fight back, and it's getting difficult. 2v2, Cyber finding Merc down at the bottom of West Main stairs. Damage onto Bolo. He's juking left and right. He's trying to find anything he can, but there's nothing in sight for him. Nitro goes out, gets one. Geo 1v1, but Cyber finds the kill, and FaZe able to lock down their first round on Chalet.
You go from an Achieve 4K into a Cyber 4K. You just know you're walking into a battleground, Tim.
I mean, I'm as excited as your voice sounds, because this game, I'm just... 45, it's a 45 round potential here.
Oh, don't get me too excited for that, Tim. Don't get me too excited. The thing is, we were talking about the bans upstairs and we saw them come through and we were like, man, if this gets through to that third map of Cafe, FaZe are 5-0 on that map, but many have been talking about TSM and how good they are on it. It's just one of those series, and I think it's fair to say, out of these last 3 teams here, all 3 are worthy and potential winners. Look at how close TSM were yesterday against Empire, for example. It was a fantastic game that we got to see. FaZe are coming off the back of a Sweden major win. They've been looking great throughout the competition. I just come back to that stat that someone referenced. Across 200 tournaments where there was a lower bracket, only 8% of the time did the team coming from the lower bracket win. So, if you're a betting man, you're with Empire. Those of you in the chat have definitely got channel points going on Empire later on, I'm sure, off the back of that. But neither of these 2 teams can be counted out just yet.
Interesting timing. Tactical pause coming in from FaZe. They get themselves the first round, but maybe think, right.
I mean, it was a 1v1, Tim.
It was a 1v1. It was getting the diffuser down while she were losing men elsewhere. I think TSM just took their eye off the ball a little bit there. Trench gets opened, West Main wall gets opened. You got to be thinking there's a plant going down here, because I've spoken about that exact plant before. If you've got those 2 walls open and pillars has been cleared out, which it was all down to Bolo inside of blue. It's practically impossible to stop that plant, because you've got cover onto connector, you've got cover onto blue, and you can't get round the back of the wall unless you've got somebody on hatch, and there was just too much fighting going on the mid-floor for anybody to pay attention to hatch.
I hark back to what Lycan said to me in a conversation last week, because at one point SSG were at 4-4. They won the round and went 5-4 on the attack, and then they called a timeout, and I was like, right, I'll ask him about this later on. And he explained a couple of things. One, the comms were getting a little bit crazy. They were a bit too excitable. They were a bit too low one way or the other. In SSG's case, they were a little bit too high. That timeout gave them a bit of room to breathe and get things back to a resting level. Want you at the middle, not too low, not too high. The other side of it was, okay, I've seen a couple of things in the attacks and the defenses that have gone against us here. Here's what we want to work on for our next cash attack, for example. So they know what it is they're looking towards when they call those timeouts. It looks weird to us as viewers, maybe, and as casters, but the teams know exactly why they're making those calls.
Oh, absolutely. Like you say, you know, Ratalia there obviously seeing something that that he thought he could add to the party. The party will continue, Des, for us at least.
Party?
For us, it's a party for us.
What party do you step into when it's a slaughter like this against each other, Tim? We've had 2 4Ks so far. It's been an absolute... It's been a nuclear game.
It's an event. It's an event.
A spectacle.
The greatest show on earth, Des, and continues. Round 4, and we're going to have no kills yet. FaZe not getting themselves inside of the building. And TSM, they are looking to try and find a little bit of that momentum back. As I say, they just struggled last time to hold on to sight. I think they just let FaZe get away from them a little bit. They took their eye off the ball. They were focused on the mid-floor. This time, the mid-floor is all that matters to them. It's going to be a kitchen and dining site. We saw this back in round number 1. TSM were able to lock it down. They were able to lock it down pretty easily.
Mercs him. Merc and these entries, man, he's absolutely nuclear, and he's still going to find his way back to site here as well, despite being in library, despite cameraman having the cross. He's walked away there with his life. Not a lot of it, mind you. He's only down to about 40 HP or so, but you'll take that to get the entry because, Tim, look at what they removed. They got rid of the ace, and when you're attacking this site, it is so critical. The last thing you want to do is send your Maverick up to that dining wall and have him start getting it open, because someone could come down library stairs, which then means your team needs to have control of more of the map. They've gone for it here because they have no other choice, but it's far from ideal. You'd normally want the ace to get 2 on the downstairs, 1 on the above, and that's your way into sight.
Maverick doing the work to try and open up the fireplace.
He's being so careful.
He is being very, very careful, trying to just get some access in towards site. Doesn't want to lose his life doing it here. Souls does have diffuser in hand, so he's going to be the one looking for a plant at some point. I'm not sure if FaZe are just maybe again, Des, trying to surprise TSM here and get themselves into a position where they make a lot of noise over here and then slip in behind and get that diffuser down. Bolo's being turned on the spot, back and forward at the minute because he knows that wall has been breached, but he knows that they're trying to push up above him.
He's being helped by cameraman as well. This is the flank that stung them last time because Bolo, if you remember, got the kill onto him and then went down library stairs and hit them from the side, got a 2K and basically ended the attack then and there with a joint shot coming in at long range from another member of TSM. Sol's going to find Mert before Chalet trades one back the other side, and there's a Frostmat Sim. You know that sound all too well. Stay into trophy window, down he goes to Achieved up on the north side of things. Sol's with 1 back, a 3 versus 2 and about 30 seconds to play.
You can hear the feeling in my voice when players go into those Frostmats. This cameraman last alive, looking for kills, looking for anything inside of round number 4. He's 1 versus 3. TSM done the smart thing, dropped themselves back to site, and they're just going to sit and wait for the next 15 seconds. Doesn't have diffuser in hand, unlikely to find kills here, and it's going to make life difficult. I think we will see this timer tick away. He's unlikely to drop onto site. There's just no need. There's bulletproof cameras. They know exactly where he is, Des. And TSM, they're just going to wait it out.
They will, yeah. I mean, like I say, it's miles away from this one. Note as well, by the way, we didn't touch on it in the round itself, but cameraman there, after their timeout, is bringing the gridlock. They're clearly really scared about these flanks, and even when they have the tracks down inside of the library hallway, you've still got cameraman sat on mezzanine waiting for Bolo to go for the cross. I don't know if it's because they're fearful of, okay, a few gunshots will come out, it'll destroy the tracks and they'll run down anyway, therefore we've still got to commit a man. The question then really comes, is it worth bringing the Nomad in that game? The gridlock in that case, just stick him on the flank and have him hold it separate. Put a cam there if you're really that bothered about it. But in all, another good round for TSM on that site. So far, completely avoiding the top floor. We're going to head now into Bar and Gaming, as you might come to expect. And as of right now, Tim, cameraman is switching off the operator. So like I said a second ago, if you're going to hold it with a gun anyway, the tracks are basically useless. He's going across to bring in the line instead.
No impact on site, really, from FaZe there. They got the wall open with the Maverick. Souls doing a good job there, but they just never really managed to, and I've spoken about this throughout the tournament, disrupt the defenders. They never moved TSM around. They never really forced them too drastically out of position.
They tried.
And
then Cyber jumped straight into a Frostmap.
Part of the problem.
A big part of the problem, because he was their flank. He was the one coming in through trophy, because you were saying like a bit of noise over here, then bam, coming on the backside. But Cyber was just not expecting there to be a Frostmat there. A little bit of misdroning ultimately cost them what could have been a big flank, given he got a 4K a couple of rounds ago. In fact, back in round 3 it was. So he did some magic work back then too. Either way, Bar Gaming we step into then, Tim. And I imagine here we'll see something similar coming out from the side of FaZe. They did a great job at forcing the members of TSM back. They got the nade kill onto Bolo. They nearly killed Gio on his drop back into sight. So TSM know what pressure feels like here. Bolo on the Wamai should be able to lock things down a bit better than before, because last time he was on the smoke. Clearly now acknowledging he is going to be a target. That Wamai being on side with those magnets in hand is a way to keep himself a lot more secure up on mezzanine.
Frostmats are being placed once again. Absolutely no surprise to see Chalet bringing them along. And you look at that, Des, and you think, that's just in the middle of the room. Where's the problem going to be there? But as we've said countless times, these ones that get put out in the open are often the ones that find their mark and get people snapshotting them. It's because players are going in, ADS,
correct,
ready for a fight, and you miss it. You don't see it on the floor. Achieved, he's not going to be missed. He's going to find himself losing about 45 HP there to a couple of shots that have rained in. Needs to be careful for the remainder of the round. And FaZe Clan right now still trying to deal with this library. They managed to kill Bolo last time. The triangle is still, I said that, bit weird, didn't I? The triangle is still in place.
Well, I think it's a triangle fine, Tim.
It was just the way I broke it into 2 words.
It sounded
triangle.
Like, what's wrong with that? I think it's all right.
Is it? Shall we go with it? Okay. Opening kill, Bullet's going to go with a nade onto Merc. He's going to find himself one, and that is part of that triangle being taken apart, Des. Blue stairs.
Now it's getting weird.
Blue stairs getting taken out, leaves Bolo and Gio, and you can already see, look at what happens. Bolo has to move, he has to react. That's mezzanine clear, but Bolo achieved getting in with kills when needed again.
Both traded out again, so 2 members of FaZe stepping in and getting a couple of kills back. Neutralizes those two. A 2 versus 2. Chalet into one more. Oh boy, it's the battle of the supports. It's the Portal combat, Tim. You got Souls coming up against Gio, and what can he do? He's rotating his way down from this library stairs. Souls spooked ever so slightly by that C4 coming out. He could have, but he panicked a little bit once he heard that come through. He's got so much time to play with him. He's got the site in his control. He hasn't got a panic, but Souls wins those out time and time again. Clutch master, plant master.
Souls is just so good in those final situations. I watched him yesterday on Cafe when he got the diffuser down and he had one pushing him from Lumber, one pushing him from Cigar. You shouldn't win in that situation. You've got one on either side of you, but you will notice that his decision-making is just infallible. It is just correct every single time. Every choice he makes gives him the advantage. There, he could have stuck that diffuser, absolutely. Would it then have potentially changed Gio's movements? Maybe. So he comes off it and he just holds his angle. He's got time, he's confident, and it was beautifully played. But FaZe doing much better there, Des. Really able to remove that problem area from TSM. Merc going off the stairs as the opening kill was big. It forced the rotate, it moved Gio. It just makes TSM's life much more difficult.
Bit of a hot take here, Tim, but I think often what you'll find, if not for the usual suspects of players like Nesk, Parlo, you know, occasionally Muzi, Pino sneak into the picture as well, outside of those big names from LATAM, you don't really get as much hype or focus around some of the more backline players that you see in LATAM, right? Think about in Europe. We're always talking about Brede. Shepard slips into the conversation as well. Yeah, Souls at this point, I would wager.
Best in the world. One of the best in the world.
One of the best. I'm not going to go as far as saying any of those 3 are the best on their day.
He's up there with them.
Vary. But he's up there in terms of quality with all 3 of those players, I think. He's lights out. We saw it at the Sweden Major 3 months ago. We're seeing it here once again at SI, that he just puts up the big numbers.
If you remember, my first words written in a document, the prep document that we did about Souls for the Sweden Major back in November, my first words written there were absolute clutch master. This guy is unflappable in one.
You did write unflappable, and I was like, that's still a word that I hear, and I just think that's just such a strange word.
He doesn't flap.
Like triangle.
Triangle. He's just, and he's been doing it for the longest time. He's just so calm, so patient, makes the right decisions. Merc managing to get himself involved in the entry again. He lost it last time. He comes back strong and manages to take down Cyber.
How do you stop this guy? He was plus 23 coming into this competition, into this game, sorry. #1 in the whole tournament. The nearest player on the side of FaZe, who is very quickly slipping down the ranks the number of times that he's being caught out, is Cyber. He's at plus 10. No one on FaZe is in the top 5, whereas on this side for TSM, they're sat right in in #1 with Merc doing the hard yards. He's having an unbelievable tournament. Remembering again that coming into this, they were saying, look, we've moved Merc off entry. That's now a Bolo role. Merc's going into more of a flex one so we can play the IGL. Geo in hot water here. Achieve finding one back, so a 5v3. It's not the end of the world. They've lost a bit of HP, but you'd rather lose some HP than lose the man altogether.
Geo still managing to hold on in the corner of Library for the time being. There's going to be a nade going in. Not sure if it will get the job done. No, it will not. Flash as well. And they just don't feel confident on pushing in here, Des. They know that they've still got mezzanine to contend with. They know that it is still a problem. Bullet, he's down on the double window. And right now, FaZe just look a little bit out of ideas. They can't move any of these TSM players again. It's that same situation. They can't disrupt them. They can't move them. Chalet, he just dances away from the explosives, keeps himself inside of the supply room there. Achieve just holding a nasty little angle from the main stairs as well.
They're not panicked on time just yet, but someone at some point will have to step in and challenge Geo. And Souls, I want to see that high risk, high reward play. Go for it. He's on 1 HP. You land a single bullet and he's going down. I know he's got the angle, but you can take that firefight as soon as you step in. The problem is Bolo will likely swing at exactly the same time, so it's a big risk to take. And instead he's going to head his way up towards the roof. We're in that last 50 seconds or so at this point, Tim. It feels like another TSM round, so a 4-2 half. Decent start.
Unusual for FaZe not to want to aggress in that sort of situation. The nade goes in, the flash goes in, and somehow Geo still survives. Nobody pushing in behind it. And usually FaZe, I would expect to be going straight in through that window looking for the kill. 2 versus 5, time ticking down, and it's looking very unlikely here for FaZe as Souls gets himself caught up in a goo mine there. He's trying to mix it up, trying to take a different attacking angle, and he's just playing into a shield here. He's going to get peeked. Simple as that. Merc using the utility to its fullest, finds his kill, and it's all up to Bullet. He tries to...
You are going to be the primary target in that round, but where he's kind of come into his own having some firefights is normally when the rest of the team have died. Otherwise, Merc, Achieved and Bolo are just nicking these 3s and 4Ks constantly. Merc, I think it's Achieved, sorry, is sat at 9-2 right now in this game. He's going absolutely wild, so in the backline, you don't get much room to get very involved, either for Chalet or for Geo, and yet they're still 4-4 and 5-3.
I'm really glad that we're going to have an inter-regional final. We've got that guaranteed. Oh, yeah. We've already got EU there. Yes.
LATAM, we love you.
LATAM, we love you.
We love it when it's
really
region versus region.
And I'm looking at this now and I'm thinking, yeah, we've either got EU, LATAM, EU, NA. I don't really mind which way it is.
All that matters, Tim, is it's EU versus someone.
Exactly that. I don't really care who wins overall. I mean, you know, I asked for an NA resurgence and they've certainly given me that at the tournament. I love LATAM as always, and obviously EU is my home region. So I feel like I'm winning anyway, Des. You know I'm the sort of guy that's going to find the positive in it no matter what happens. But I'm just looking at these two going at each other now and I'm thinking, what a final we are going to have. This is just amazing. We're going to have 2 brilliant teams going up against each other. All 3 of these have got a story about how they've got here and, you know, potentially winning that first 6 Invitational. We've then got the inter-region thing. It's just kicking off an unbelievable day.
If you're panicking a little bit about that angle looking south side and thinking, guys, there's nothing but a wall there. Why have they got a shield inside of the cubby? What they're actually trying to do is play behind it to challenge up towards Solar. We saw Bolo doing this the other day for TSM, interestingly. So FaZe are doing a very similar thing where you can play on either side of the shield, but it gives them the ability to challenge north side from that reverse angle shield because you're closer to the slits. You can see through them a lot better. It gives you that little bit of confidence.
Geo's on the drum, no surprises there. Is he going to spot Souls? Yes, he is. Sees the man underneath the double window, forces Souls to move, and starts creating a little bit of space. Bolo not able to pick the man up.
Yeah,
look who does. It's going to be Achieved, finding Souls on the entry and giving TSM another advantage. And honestly, Des, they are threatening to run away with this. They are doing something better than FaZe were able to on the attack, and that is getting themselves inside the map, creating space for others to follow in, and taking control.
Unfortunate, but good drone work coming out and a great pinch coming in from TSM overall to start off their attack inside. Achieved, sorry, now up to 10-2, by the way. Most of the entries have gone the way of Merc. He's been involved in those early engagements, but the mid-round kills have really flown in favour of Achieved.
Second opener for him. He's certainly not going badly. Bolo's looking to continue this top floor push. I think the office wall has been open now. That's how deep we see FaZe playing. They've been pushed all the way back in towards Solarium now. There you go. The wall is indeed open. FaZe holding on well. We're sort of just over the halfway mark. 1 minute 40 gone. Toxic Babe canister coming out. Just going to slow things down a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be long before they face mounting pressure from TSM here. And again, it's something that TSM are doing better, is claiming some ground, pushing forward. Claiming more ground, pushing forward. Finding kills. Achieved with a second on the round. 5 versus 3. Top floor control now gained for TSM. Pressure going to mount inside a site for FaZe Clan.
A very late C4 coming out of Astro as well, going to find no one. Cyber left to stand up against the Horde. As a shotgun in hand, it's what you'd want in a zombie apocalypse, but maybe not against TSM. Bolo getting the trade, achieved, finds another 3K in the game. Tin, the man's 12-2 inside 7 rounds. Cameraman, he's got to do it all. I don't think any amount of cameras are going to help him in this round either. A 4 versus 1 with 30 seconds to play. He's going to get himself droned out. They'll hold some cross angles, and he is going to be done for. They're getting themselves a hatch opened up as well, so they can look for the drop, but it's still more drone work for TSM, so being very disciplined about how they're approaching this. You got Bolo coming down from the top side, and Nade's going to force Cameraman to move. He's down to a slither of HP. Bolo comes in, he wins out the one, and they walk away with another very dominating round. TSM are looking to storm on through to a 7-2 or maybe a 7-3.
It's looking dangerous for FaZe right now. Our LATAM fans out there must be a little bit nervous at what they are seeing, because it's not just about this. You look towards Villa, you look towards the potential of Cafe, and TSM just seem able to switch it on against this FaZe. I don't think anybody has made FaZe look as neutral, as negative as this, as passive.
What I really don't want to see come out in this game is what we've seen a number of teams do throughout the competition. I tweeted about it yesterday. It's really weird how we've seen probably 6 or 7 teams just bow out the competition with barely so much as a whimper.
Yeah.
Look at Furia. They were phenomenal. Finished first of their group, came up into their knockout game, and basically just didn't show up to the races. Look back at Philippe Pox for MIBR yesterday, a player that many have gone, oh, top rated, putting on a show. These guys mean business. They're in the top 6. They can do this. He goes 1-9 in map 3 and just, again, barely has a whimper on his way out the back door. So I don't know. I'm just really hoping it's not a similar story for FaZe. That's the last thing we need on a day like this. But you've got to look at some of the numbers, right? Bullet and Cyber, you always speak about as being a massive duo. Bullet so far not present. Astro, 0 and 7. It's just not looking pretty.
I wish I could paint a different picture, Des. Genuinely, I do, but
all I will say is map 2 is Villa, and that is FaZe's map.
FaZe map. It is, you know, and
they're gonna show the NA teams exactly what happened the other day. You saw what Super and Bodega were saying to each other, right?
Yeah.
There's gonna be some
There's a lot of back and forth
server.
about knowing how to play against LATAM on Villa, but TSM, I just feel like the homework has been done. I feel like they're gonna have an understanding of what's likely to be brought there. Whether they can have an answer to it or not is a different matter, of course.
The uncultured Roni player of Souls.
Nothing wrong with the Roni.
DMRs, Tim. DMRs.
Round number 8. We're going to be going to Master and Office this time around, so it's going to be a top floor push from TSM. They're going to want to get themselves established inside a library. They've just shown us that they can do that very, very well. They're already out on the balcony looking to get themselves inside. It's going to be more of the same from last round. FaZe, for me, Des, they need an entry, they need a follow-up, they need a 5v3, they need to beat TSM up a little bit in this round to just give themselves something, a little bit of pep, a little bit of energy.
What I love from TSM, and I've said this about a couple of LATAM teams as well, it really seems to be spreading amongst the top teams at the minute, is the pace and the urgency. Urgency is the key word that I keep on coming back to. For what, 40 seconds inside the round, you've got achieved up already, smashing floors open, doing work inside the map. That's overall really good stuff. And for teams that will sit there and drone for 75 seconds, then they'll step forward, then they'll get back on drones, they'll check it, they'll recheck it, and they'll check it again. They wonder why they only have 20 seconds left when it comes round to the execute. And that was something during most of last year, Empire was saying, oh, we always struggle with the clock because we'd be very unconfident in ourselves. We would drone the same spot 4 or 5 times and then move. You're seeing a very pacey Empire in the game, or that you'll see later on that we saw yesterday, and you're seeing it out of TSM. Bolo, big 2K, another entry coming out, and GOR turns it into a 3rd. Make it a 4th. Where are you, FaZe? TSM rolling through the LATAM team right now. There's 90 seconds left. But on the worse and worse it's got, the more members they're losing in the round before a response comes through, or in some cases not finding a response at all. They just made it look easy there. Bolo planting his feet and finding a 3K at the top of library stairs. 3 or 4 players swamping the one man left inside at the end by himself. It just comes at such pace. Again, the round was over inside 90 seconds. That is ludicrous.
You just feel FaZe need a couple of rounds here to give themselves a chance on Villa. Is more what it's about now. It's more about, let's just get something. Let's get anything. What can we take away from this that's going to be a positive? You know, even if they lose the map, but just have a big moment where Astro gets an ace or something. You know, just something absolutely big within a round that they can cling on to. It would be fantastic for them. They're going to be defending downstairs. It's going to be a wine, and Honestly, Des, this is not going to be an easy site for them to hold on to. I expect to see TSM do sort of similar to what FaZe did, which is get down there, open that west main and trench wall, look at trying to give Gio an opportunity to top those plant numbers up and get him inside a site with that case, get it put down. And it certainly looks that way. They're pushing in towards gaming to begin with and library site, so you want to clear that out so you're not having to worry about blue too much and then start moving forward. But they're paying some attention to the main wall as well, so maybe it'll be a little bit of a different approach here from TSM.
Yeah, Cozy moving away that mute jammer at the exact time they pull the go button, and the breach is open inside 30 seconds, Tim. Meanwhile, you've got Merc trying to do his work on Trench. You clocked on last time round how fast FaZe managed to get in, get the plant down before TSM could really react on the other side, and even then, it came down to a 1 versus 1.
Bullet just on a little roam on the top floor there. It's going to be interesting to see whether TSM have picked him up or not. They really need somebody like Bullet to be coming in and just playing spoiler. Chalet just droning out those main stairs, trench wall. So it looks, like they are mounting for the sort of push that I was talking about. We've got achieved over there as well. By opening the main wall, there's nothing wrong with that. It creates difficulty for the defenders inside a site. It just cuts down even more angles from them. Look how aggressive Cyber's getting here. He's going to take a chunk of damage off Chalet. Impressively quick nano boost coming in from Bolo as soon as that damage was done. Finds himself a yokai as well. Great work on that main entrance, and look at what opening the front wall does. You can see FaZe spinning around on the spot there. They don't know which way to look, and it just feels like they're being pulled from pillar to post by TSM here.
There's two of them watching down towards this main breach, one kind of alternating in blue between the two. So you've got two looking north side, you've got two looking south side, and Cyber being that sort of flex player for you in a way. TSM are in no rush. They've got 1 minute and 15 still to play with. They can just line up all their pieces here, collect the information they need, and then think about what the go button looks like.
They've got that mute jammer cleared off. Cyber is going to get a kill onto Bolo though, and that was the player on that main breach, so it's going to allow FaZe to focus up a little bit more. But bottom west main stairs wall has been opened. That starts to cause a problem. Merc manages to find Cyber, and now TSM will look to get trench wall open as well. The mute jammer was moved, but they have to clear pillars. Once pillars is gone, FaZe have got a big problem, Des. Souls has to hold on here.
They have got a cameraman who's just coming back down the lobby stairs. I think he was hoping to catch something else somewhere else on the map as they were trying to push down. Blue, for example, will have no such joy. Souls finding one onto Gio. It's looking better for FaZe Clan here as we get into the last 30 seconds. They know where TSM are coming from. They've ground to a bit of a halt here and aren't quite sure where to go next. They find the nade kill, but just after, Bullet finds the kill onto Merc. So it's still not looking so good. A 3 versus 2 with 15 seconds to go. They've got to make a push happen. Astro finally getting himself on the scoreboard, gets himself traded. Charlotte in a 1 versus 2, swung on by cameraman. It's an easy call. MK14.
63-64.
You will basically kill everyone in 2 shots to the body, except for 3 armors. Calling 3 armors a bit weird because it's less armor. It's more just like a HP stat.
It's a HP stat now, yeah.
Yeah. It's still 3 armors. Whatever. Let's get into it then. Byron Gaming coming up next. This has been the primary site for most teams on this map overall, so not surprised to see FaZe stepping into there after a successful defense down in the basement. On TSM side though, Tim, they've brought the biggest go button of them all. They've got Merc playing on the Ying. Now, we've seen this employed a couple of times throughout the competition. Dark Zero, we've seen a Canadian making good use of it in the odd case or two. A few teams bringing it along for executes into the basement of Oregon, for example. But none that I can think of where it's like, man, they just completely steamroll the other team. So even with that operator in back pocket and able to make use of those Candelas, I still want to see them being careful. We don't want Merc getting caught off the rip, for example. You can't be the go-to entry in this round.
Achieved already on that library window. Bullet playing on mezzanine. This is something that we saw TSM do extremely well. If you notice, FaZe are doing it a little bit differently, Des. Don't think they've got anybody established on blue stairs. Nobody inside a library. Instead, everybody's over to master and office side. And that might just leave Bullet a little bit exposed on mezzanine. But saying that, I think somebody has now dropped themselves onto blue stairs, and that's going to be a big help. But here come TSM straight into sight. Des. Merc gets one, Bolo gets one, Merc another. Achieved. Surely this is over. 5 versus 1. It could be another flawless round to close it out for TSM. And what a message the North American side are sending here on Chalet. Cyber, he's looking for anything he can get. He knew there would be nothing. Charla finds the shots into the back. 3rd flawless round for TSM, and they take map 1 in quick fashion.
What I love there is the intelligence and awareness being shown by TSM. They get the drones in, they identify, hey, there's only 2 on site. Boys, we can hit site right now. And Bolo,